That's right. We're talking Invincible season 2, reviewing the entire season, and hopefully 20 to 25 minutes of your viewing pleasure. But the first question I got to ask you guys, right, after seeing part 1 of season 2, taking a break, and then seeing the rest of it after last week's finale, what is your just pure rating, quick rating, no explanation, quick rating? Spider Brando, I'll throw it over to you.
So did you ask for just the finale or the whole season?
Whole season.
7, 8. 7.8 to clarify, not 7 to 8, 7.8.
Okay. Funko Lou?
Oh, I'm probably going to say like a 7.3 with an arrow down.
Ooh, we'll get into that. I'm just going to say it even 7. An even 7.
Wow, I was not expecting that, the highest one.
Yeah, even 7. Well,
it is surprising after our last conversation off of last episode. It kind of is. I've been waiting to. Yeah, I agree.
We're gonna dissect it. So let's get into the hits and misses of season 2. We're gonna also mention our theories for what's gonna happen later. Again, if you're just joining us or watching this later on, spoilers. We're gonna go into it. So if you haven't seen it yet, pause the video, watch it, or just be spoiled and have fun with us. And also another theory or another thing of note, we are coming at this from the perspective of purely show only. We don't know what happens in the books. So if you hear us say something and you're like, oh, that actually happens in the book. Okay, thank you. Keep it to yourself, please. But we love you. Thank you for, putting your input, but just keep it in mind. So Lou, I'm very interested to see what you have to say though. Why is it pointing downwards? What worked? What didn't work for you?
I think it all kind of started with Amber and just the dragging on of their relationship at first. But there were things that I was expecting to hit more that didn't, and the things that did kind of hit felt slightly unwarranted, especially in the finale. For example, like Anissa. When Anissa showed up, I was like, okay, here's the first kind of Viltrumite encounter. This is what we're looking for. And I was like, felt slightly underwhelmed. And then, to be honest with you, the Levy fight, for as good as it was, I think that showcased completely of the mistakes that the creators of the show and Amazon Studios and everyone kind of the fallout from splitting your season to having no momentum for him to having him come in and get whomped. I should have felt like how Mark was trying to give us of, oh my gosh, I did this. And I'm like, great. We saw the guy for like 5 seconds this season, and it's supposed to be one of the most monumental moments for Mark. That didn't come across very well to me specifically. He didn't soak into it, but he's been kind of whiny the majority of the season. I don't know. I know Mark is going to be great, but for me personally, I'm like, all right, move on from your girl. We got it. Move on. You're not like Omni-Man yet. We got it. I just didn't feel the impact that I think maybe they wanted us to when this was all said and done, personally. And for that, I enjoyed a lot. But there are certain things I was like, okay, I'm ready for season 3. Like, I'm ready to move on to the next season.
Interesting.
It felt like one of those, like, it was like intermediate. No, yeah, like an intermediate season. No, not intermediate. Not a filler, but what's like a synonym for
like
filler?
A prequel setup.
Yeah, setup. Let's go setup. It felt like a setup season for like another future season. Kind of like how it's a good show that did that. Like took an L one season. Kind of like Mandalorian season 2 was like a setup for mainly Ahsoka and Book of Boba. It was kind of like mid, just to like push stories along, if that makes sense. And the gap, like you said, and it's the biggest thing that pissed me off about this season was having to wait 4 months just for 4 episodes to come back, and like they cut that gap at such a bad time, man. Such a just we got Fallout dropping everything all at once. Prime also. They why couldn't Invincible do that with Prime? It would have had such a better feeling. And from one of my friends that I had talked to about it, who he had caught up from like season 2, episode 1 until episode 4 or 5, and he got to binge it like all in a row. And I'm like, just kept on telling me, it was like, oh my god, like this is so epic and all that. And I'm like, I wish I got to feel like that. I had to wait 4 months and then boom, cliffhanger, and it was like that hurts. And then he got to just watch those 2 episodes, like all those episodes back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah. You nailed it on the head perfectly. And I think that's what makes you feel like that, Lou, is the fact that that 4-month wait breaks them any momentum that this show had.
Yeah.
It screeches it to a halt. And you almost have to go back and watch those first 4 episodes again to kind of be like, oh yeah, that happened. And then to keep going and really remember what's going on. And then the fact that you only get another 4 episodes, it doesn't feel like it's enough time, even though that they're hour-long episodes. There's not enough time to get the momentum back that you lost. And that, in reality, I think is what makes you feel like that, because I started watching it over again, like bits and pieces. And yeah, the season feels super different when you get to just kind of go through it all.
Yep.
And you don't have to wait 4 months, and you don't have to be like, oh, well, who's this? And why is this character there? And who's that? And, especially since this season went back to so much from season 1.
Right.
And didn't keep going with stuff of like purely season 2. It did, but then it also introduced new things. It expected you to remember things from the first one and Adam Eve. And then it's like, again, if you don't watch Invincible or really know Invincible, having a 4-month gap in your mind from this entire universe and this series, and then even though they do a good job of the recap, it's just not enough to get you fully invested into the universe. Not something like, for example, X-Men 97 right now, that, imagine if after this last episode, they're like, okay, now wait 5 months for me. Okay.
Yeah. Here's the only thing to that, though. I do think that there is something to be said about how well X-Men 97 is executing, making everything feel relevant and taking the stakes and raising them. Invincible to me said, hey, these are really big stakes. And I'm like, I know that they are. I can see that they are, but I don't feel that they really are. And I know that we're on this journey of growth with Mark, and it's going to lead to him being what feels like better than Omni-Man, right? Why would he not be better than a season 1 Omni-Man? Like, that just is weird to me. We haven't read any of this. I know it's out there, and information and answers to what we're saying exist. However, what Invincible season 2 part 1 and 2 did is try to build up these side characters and make these additional stories interesting, which some of them were. But in the end, I look back at it and watching how we watched with the gap, and I'm like, I would have rather have not seen any of that, and you just would have doubled down on Mark's story and Omni-Man's story and spent that much time just telling me more about them. I would have preferred that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's honestly what they should have done. But if that's not what they wanted, then okay. And if it really was setting up the big Angstrom-Levy fight, it feels like we should have spent more time with Levy as well.
A little bit.
And
yeah.
The one big thing that I can think of off the top of my head that they should have done is take the moments that they showed you in the flashbacks of this last episode of like all his universe's counterparts fighting evil versions of Mark, sprinkle those into the other episodes. Let that be how you either end or start all the other episodes of season 2. You see all his versions get killed, the people he loves getting killed, and you really get to kind of start to see his motivation and start to be like, oh no, he's gonna do something messed up to Mark or his family. And once he gets to Mark's mom, that's when it's like, okay, things shot up. But when he just shows up at the end of the season after not being present since episode 1, it's kind of like, okay.
I have a comment.
Hit it.
Their marketing has what screwed their season up. They marketed Leffy so hard in like the beginning of season 1, and I remember all those trailers had like the other Earth Mark and Omni-Man going on the fiasco and all about Leffy. And then you got like that one episode 2, like, and then like a moment in episode 2, and then boom, gone like 4 months later. And then this part of the season, they barely marketed him at all. They should have flip-flopped it and, like what Hero said, incorporated more of what we saw in the finale in like those first couple episodes. And then that would have really led to a more impactful finale.
Yeah.
Like they marketed a lot of like the second half of season 2. I feel not even in when the season 2 was first coming out. It was just weird. I feel like they set expectations too high, and then with the break, it just didn't execute the way they wanted to.
Would you guys have felt, given everything that happened with this season, would you have felt that it would have been more impactful to flip-flop the Thrax and Viltrumite fight with the Levy Mark fight?
No, because I do like the theme of Mark holding himself back when he needs to go full out, and then the one time he does go full out, finally, it leads to something really bad. I do like what they set up with that, and I personally, I really enjoyed the finale of him. I'm assuming keep murdering Levy. I don't see him coming back.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastically done, especially again going to the theme of him always holding back, him not wanting to be like Omni-Man. I just think again that 4-month gap really kills the momentum because that was kind of the mid-season,
Yeah.
And that was 4 months ago. So for them to then pick it back up at the end of the episode, it's just like, it's one of those things like, oh, we're doing this again, but I kind of forgot about it. That should have been done with no break, or maybe have been even honestly like the second to last episode, not the last one.
Yeah. I mean, the break hurt, and I know that they had mentioned that they're probably never going to do that again, and it's going to be more of a traditional release style moving forward. I just hope here in the future, I know what we were interested in was like the fallout of Omni-Man and kind of his effect on humanity. I don't think we really got too much of that later on, which is fine. Debbie, I think, was a big part of this, and I will say when Levy broke her arm, like, dude, I got like sick. I was like, oh,
scared.
Man.
Yeah. I got scared too. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, are they gonna?
And you know what was funny about that? When Cecil's she's out there with the freaking her bone sticking out, and then her Cecil comes in with the SWAT force, and they're all just scanning the house, boarding everything up. They don't even think about, oh, maybe we should go get her freaking to the hospital until Cecil comes in, starts yapping, and it's like, oh, You should go to the doctors. No shit. That's the first thing you should have done if you see a freaking bone sticking out. That gave me that gave me such a
Yeah.
uncertification right there.
I do think Cecil did react appropriately once he saw it, I think. And I think that was kind of the point. But it was very odd for them to just be like, oh.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, the woman,
come on.
bleeding out from her arm. Yeah, no, still whatever.
Yeah. She's
Keep
got
going.
bones
I
sticking out, flesh. It's okay.
I am wondering. I'm curious. Cecil's a wild card for me in Invincible, and I feel like I can talk like more excitedly about things now with him. But I feel like he's going to play that Batman role of like I have a contingency plan, which we kind of know already, right? But I'm curious of how far he's going to go in the end to ultimately put some sort of something in place to stop Mark or Omni-Man or the Viltrumites or a Levy or anyone else. I personally think it's going to be kind of like a virus-based type of thing because I don't think anything he could possibly create would be strong enough from a physical perspective. But I'm just really curious what is in that room that no one can see. What is he working on? I wonder who's going to discover that and what ultimately like happens to Cecil in the end.
Yeah.
I have a theory I'm gonna just throw out there. Potential robot version of Mark or Omni-Man. That's my theory. Or some like maybe older hero that we don't know of yet. I don't know.
Well, shout out to the one doctor who they replaced his voice actor, Ezra Miller, Sia. But I think something like that. Who's the guy who they just released? Like he's working on Donald. He was working on that one college kid.
Oh,
yeah, like
Doctor. I forgot the name.
Yeah.
Because that one college kid got that shit done like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where they go because it really seems like he's using monstrosities to go against him or go against everybody, and I don't think people know about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested to see where it goes in terms of like once the heroes find out and how they react. Because I think Cecil is rubbing a lot of people the wrong way.
Agree.
And there's gonna come to a point where that comes to a head. And I don't think this will be a season 3 thing. I honestly don't see this till maybe like a season 4, season 5, like later on down the line.
Yeah.
My big theory for season 3, I really think that we're gonna see some evil versions of Mark.
I hope.
I thought we were gonna see that this season. I thought the
True.
marketing they did.
True.
That was another big thing
Agreed.
that they were hyping up.
Agreed. But I really feel like, especially after the way we got all the flashbacks at the end of the season, it felt like such a very intentional thing to show, to be like, hey, in literally every other dimension, Mark is evil. This is the one that he's not. I'm interested to see what they do with that. Somebody has to find that and, bring in all the Marks versus Mark or something like that. I don't know.
Dude, I hope Ro's powerful enough. I will say, and by the way, I did enjoy the season finale. I really, really, really thought their highlight of this was right around Mark's display of powers and how when he was kind of like grieving and going through those emotions at the end, man was kind of borderline unhinged. I thought he was going to fly through time for a second.
Dude,
I really thought he was going to go to a new dimension.
I thought they were about to do some Flash freaking speed travel or time travel.
I was like, please stop, please stop, please stop, please stop.
You're going too fast.
Yeah. But I'm curious to see what his limits truthfully are, and if he does go on this exploration of like, kind of like a Vegeta like post Namek saga where he's like trying to go Super Saiyan and he just goes to all these other planets, just like wrecking everyone from the Frieza Force, and he's just like, I need to obtain this next level of power.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have that coupled with his fear well, his fear of being Omni-Man, but his fear of I can't defeat Omni-Man and his lack of understanding of how powerful am I. He's I he needs training. That is evident. He sucks as a fighter overall. I'm sorry. I think he's garbage at this point. He's very unrefined. He's a bruiser and he's not really a bruiser. But who puts him on that path? Maybe it's old boy Optimus Prime. I don't know.
Let's talk for a quick second that finale and the cameos. Did you guys like them?
Yeah. I mean, I wish it was the real thing, but I'll take what I could get.
Yeah.
I
just wanted to bring it up for a second that especially the outrage that I saw online over people being like, wow, Invincible really said really did what you order online versus what you get in person. And I'm like, you guys are stupid because if you really expected Spider-Man, full-on Spider-Man, to show up in a show where people are getting limbs actively ripped off and dying in horrible, brutal ways, and if you think Disney is just going to let him show up, not even Disney, Sony is just going to let him show up in this project, I want to know what you're on.
Yeah.
And if you really think that Amazon was going to pay for that, please get yourself checked, because there's no world, there's no dimension where that happens, okay?
No, it was still cool though, and fake Doc Ock was kind of cool. The Batman thing, I think, is a little better.
That's what I was going to say. The Batman one was infinitely better.
Yeah.
And I would have taken that any other day over a Agent Spider.
Agent Spider?
It was Agent Spider, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I think that was his name.
Yeah, because he had the big A in front.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's Agent Spider.
I thought it was funny when he came back though. Like, there's subtle things that they do in Invincible that for me, I just think are kind of funny. Like when he comes back through that portal, he did have some funny moments, but like he had the web on his back and he just like reaches back and is like, like tosses it aside kind of thing. And like sometimes I think when creators do this, they're just like, Spider-Man has nothing on Invincible. When so many people are like, deathmatch Spider-Man versus Invincible, and they're like, Invincible would just destroy him.
Yeah. It was a quick thing that, again, don't get your expectations too high, people. Like, cameos, yes, you can. I mean, we got a Walking Dead one, technically.
The little zombie bird.
That's what I thought of too.
So, like, enjoy that kind of stuff. Don't,
Rob Kirkman.
Yeah, don't think of other things.
Yeah.
I enjoyed how Amazon and the Invincible team just didn't even think of asking Marvel or Sony because they knew that it would have just been hell.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That's why knowing that is why I respect and like appreciate what they did. So I'm like, even like they just said fuck it. They said fuck it, we ball. Essentially, if they come at us for doing a freaking Spider-Man ripoff, they come at us. But I appreciate that.
I do too. And the thing is, they technically can't because there's nothing really to go after.
Mm-hmm.
It's so generic enough that it's like
Sony wants their freaking money, especially after that Madam Web failure.
They're hurting from that. Now, if they did a Madam Web cameo, then I'm sure Sony would have went after them and lost probably. But
No, dude. No.
Yeah.
No. They were good. But I want to ask you guys. I know we're getting close to time, but what do you want to see next for season 3?
2 things. I know we kind of ran it to the ground, but I just, it's truly what I want for season 3. Don't do a break. Just let it play out. Mm-hmm. But I really hope we see more. We see Mark and we see Omni-Man and Alan. I think those are your big three of the series.
Yeah.
And I think you show them and you show how they really start to gel as a unit. And what that means for like Earth, the Viltrumites, and this war that what's Optimus Prime? Thaddeus?
Thetis?
Thetis? Yeah. Thetis. But like what that means for him and everything. I think that's the way to go. Start setting up this war proper. Because we spent an entire season talking about it already. So
yeah. Spider Brando?
Oh, this is just a random thought, but I was trying to compare the season to something else. The season was like Dune 1 to Dune 2. So like season 3 will be Dune 2. Just epic, like building up. That's exactly what I meant earlier. But I digress. Season 3 stuff. I want to see the closure for Omni-Man's story. As much as I like Omni-Man, I kind of just want to I want it to just be Invincible show. And sure, he was in a prison for like most of the season and away, but I kind of just want to see him like just out the picture, like fully. I feel like that'll put Mark way more in the spotlight, and having them have like a nice like closuring season together of them working together or something before like a Omni-Man sacrifice would be pretty cool and give some hope back into Mark of like how he was just comparing at the end of this season to killing somebody and not wanting to be like his dad, that he could look at the end of the next season and be like, damn, maybe he could be like him. I think that would be a cool way to go through like a nice like 3-season arc for both of them.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. More Mark, more Omni-Man, more Viltrumites. I want to see more of that story.
And I have one more thing. I want, obviously, Eve and Mark. That's all I want. Season 3. We're so close this season, but man had to freaking chicken out.
Yeah, that it could fall into the gripe bucket for me personally, but I think they need to spend more time building the team aspect of the Guardians of the Globe up a little bit more. But as a whole, I think each of these individual pieces didn't hit as well. It might on a rewatch, but I would rather see Earth's Defenders be more of Earth's Defenders and Mark and Omni-Man and Alan be more of that universal defense. And just to take them off planet, let the Guardians do their thing. But I thought that they had a good thing going with that one like skull giant monster fight thing. And Cecil's like, Mark, we need you. Mark, we need you. The more Mark is away from Earth, I think the better this story may feel until the inevitable invasion comes and my guy steps back with just a beastly attitude. And I mean, I want to see what Debbie says when Omni-Man shows up again. I'm weirdly invested for that.
Yeah.
It was so small, but the detail the fact that Omni-Man's like, I think I miss my wife. It popped me a little. It popped me. I won't lie, because I'm like, oh, so we're getting that story. Because honestly, it felt like they were done. Like it felt like Nolan and Debbie, you're not getting that story. You're not getting the makeup. They are literally, it's irreparable damage. They're not going to associate with each other in any way at all, other than through his baby.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're teasing it with that, I'm excited.
Yeah. I agree. Only other thing I'm going to throw in there, this isn't related to the story. We know it's a really good story. I hope that the production level and the decision making from the team that is behind Invincible improves a little bit more. I think I had a higher expectations when season 1 was out, but now that we're seeing the Across the Spider-Verses of the world, the X-Men 97s of the world, DC animation is about to pop off starting next year. I think Invincible's quality may need to take a step forward from a production standpoint. The story is there, but the effects, the movements, I think there's a lot of crispness that expectations will be kind of displaced a little bit because we're seeing some really, 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 really good quality coming from Disney, Marvel Studios, and Sony Animation as well. So fingers crossed here, because that means something to me.
Fair point.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. Any other Invincible thoughts?
See you for season 3 in 2 more years.
Dude, I hope not. Please, just one. Just one. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they better streamline that shit.